right, I'm calling the Village of Cross Plains Board of Trustees meeting November 10th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bratton.
Here.
Trustee Brochus.
Here.
Trustee Borkhardt. Here. Trustee Borklin. Trustee Palmikowski.
Here.
Trustee Calvater. Here. President Langfeld.
Here. Stand for a pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes. While the village board encourages input from residents, it may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. All right, do we have anybody here that would like to speak during public comment? Anybody on the internet that would like to make a comment under public comment?
I'm not seeing any hands raised.
All right, we'll go to general business. It's discussion regarding the 2026 supplement budget request and total operating budget. Before we get into that, and I just want to make sure you see the note that we're not going to be able to take action tonight. It's just discussion, but I think the goal would be if we can give some feedback to staff. In 2 weeks, they may change what is being presented. Otherwise, we'll have to put these back on the agenda. I would like just to start with, so we know where we're at, is if you remember in end of June, we set up 11 budget goals. I just want to quickly go through and say where we're at so we know what we need to focus on. Number one was stay eligible for the expenditure restraint program. We're there. Cap the levy limit operating budget to 3%. That's what we'll be working a little bit on today. Save 1.5 million for a down payment on the new Village Hall Police Station. We're well on our way with that. Use 660,000 of the general fund balance for that goal. So that's there. Increase staff salaries by 3%. Almost everybody but two have either gotten a 4, will be getting either a 4 or 5% raise. So we've done that. Keep base budget at 2025 levels. We'll find out today how close we'll get to that. Maintain the current level of investment income to fund operating budget. That's what we've built into the current budget. Stay within the sewer and water budget. We've done that. Have a levy limit gap of 60,000. It is unlikely we'll be able to achieve that goal. And we'll talk about that a little later. Capital budget includes KP Trail Project, Village Hall, and Police Station. Capital borrowing at 7.5 million for new Village Hall and Police Station project. We're going to be at 6 million. So we've reached that. So we're in pretty good shape when it comes to reaching what we set out middle of summer. So we are going to go through now. You have a sheet here just to help process. This is something that I put together for myself, but I figured it would be useful for everybody to have. It has a lot of basic information on that we'll be talking about today, tonight. And it'll give you an idea. You don't have to take a whole lot of notes. It's kind of right there. A lot of this has all been taken from other documents that you've all received. I just thought it would be better to put it on one sheet. So we'll go through this before we start all right, just to give the background. So our current levy is 3,641,700, and the rate of mill rate is 8.97. That's what we worked on today. The proposed, with nothing changing, is 3,896,275, and that rate would go to 9.36, which is the difference of 40 cents, which is basically between 4.42% and 4.48%. All right, one is taken from the sheet that Bobby gave us, and one is taken from what was published in the newspaper. So at that rate, a home in Cross Plains of 300,000 would have $119 increase just from the village. Now, here's where our first problem comes in. If you look at the levy limit number, that's 3,874,401. It can be brought down to 3,883,901 because we signed that resolution to move anything over last year's cost in EMS off the levy limit. We're allowed to do that. Everybody signed it, so we can. Doesn't really matter. We're still over the levy limit, so we have to do some cuts. All right, or make some changes to minimum get to the levy limit. So that's it. To get to the 3% goal that we achieved, we'd have to reduce what is being proposed by $50,000. Then we would have a 3.08 if you looked at the chart that adjustment graph that Bobby sent out. So what I'd like to do is kind of see where we're at with the stuff that is coming down. And before we get to the supplements, what are the second part of this is the revenue part. I just wanted to make sure everybody sees the revenues. So the big hit that we took, just so everybody knows, going into this year, we did have a 35,000 gap between what our budget was and what the levy limit was. We've lost that and some, obviously. So the big hit that we took on the budget was the loss of 25 grand for transportation aid. All right, that's a formula and there's not much we can do. It's because County P came off I don't know if it came totally off, but it's not included. It's a 5-year average.
Yeah, 6-year average.
6 years average, so it's starting to come off, which makes it a lower amount. So that kind of affected it. Shared revenue, we picked up an extra 6,750. New construction, we ended up picking up 62,275. So that was what we increased the levy limit. We can increase the levy limit by that amount. Just so you know where the money has gone and why we're in the boat that we're in. So we will go to, that was just kind of my summary, and we'll continue to go through this with A and B, the rest of the sheet, just so you had the information. So the first one, I don't have them in the right order. In my chart is on the agenda, so you'll have to see. But the first one is supplemental budget request, recycling fees. Who's speaking on this behalf from staff?
I can.
Okay,
So when we switched to the bin service pickup, we extended our garbage and recycling contract out to 2028. And so for 2026, there's an elevator in the recycling fees. It's another extra quarter, I think, per house per month.
Mhm.
And so obviously that's for our contract. We don't have anything to argue that. So it's just extra. We need to go above that 0% base budget increase.
so this is a contract that we signed. I don't think we have much choice but to support it. You'll have to find, all right. So that's an added 6,900.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
Recently I was reading that Middleton just imposed a recycling fee that just shows up as a separate line item on their property tax bill. It's something we might want to consider in the future. We're gonna be getting bumped this quarter every year. We could do that and it pulls out of our budget, but we paid for that fee. It's just a different way to fund it.
It's a utility, right? You set up a utility for that?
I'm not sure if that's how you administer it, but yes, you can add recycling onto your tax bill as a separate fee. If you add garbage on there, then you have to reduce your levy limit by the garbage amount, because we're required to provide garbage services. But recycling is a separate thing, so we can set up a separate fee to collect recycling revenue in addition to the levy.
And if we did that, we wouldn't have to pay for it through the tax levy, which frees up that money for other things.
Yep, yep.
Throwing it out there.
Yep.
Well, there's a number of other things you can do. Water, stormwater is another one that Middleton does.
Yeah.
They have, but we're not gonna be able to pull that off in the next 2 weeks.
Well, no.
But maybe for next year.
Well, yeah,
Can you help us?
Yeah, I definitely think it's a tool in the toolbox.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about different wheel taxes and other things in the past, but
Yeah.
this is another thing we can.
Okay, let's go to B, library.
Okay, so this is for, the maintenance agreement for building automation system. So it expired in 2023. There was a gap between. They had some turnover, at their company, so we had an issue getting a quote. By the time we had a quote, it was too late to get in the budget for 2024. So it's just kind of sat expired. It gives us access to the system, but it doesn't update the software without the agreement. And then we have to also pay to have service calls, whereas with the agreement, some are included. So this is just to get us back.
Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. So we've been running a year without an agreement, or pretty much kind of as needed.
Yeah, so, but it means that the software does not get updated either. We're like stuck at the 2020 software. Hopefully, that makes
What,
sense.
we know the differences between the 2026 or 2025 and 2023, what they've upgraded. I mean, if it's minimal, is it even worth the upgrade and just pay for the service as needed? You know what I mean?
So we can do that, but the way that they have it structured, I think to discourage people from doing that is if you wait to update it, you still have to pay back fees. Like for whatever time it was lapsed.
Right,
I think because otherwise everybody would choose to just let it lapse until they needed. So that's,
right, but do we know what the upgrade does? Do we know what the upgrade for what we're purchasing versus what we have, what that has?
I guess I'm not totally sure on that. Well, I mean, it's all online. It gives our HVAC techs access as well. How we keep our, I mean, that is how our system is run. I don't have another way to do it.
But what you're saying though is, if, I feel that, we weren't to pay it now, eventually, we will have to, so we'll reach a point where they no longer,
Yes,
like, we can no longer use that, and so then we have to pay all the back fees anyway, so then we'd be.
No, I get that, I'm just.
so like, oh, sorry. The quote for this year then is slightly more than it would be for the next couple of years. And part of that is because they increase the status and.
But that was just a pushback, and I'm not pushing back on you,
No.
but that was their issue. Right? We didn't get in time for what we needed to be able to put it into the 2025 budget.
Yes, but then, I mean, that could be a short window. You know, like, think about how long our budgeting season is.
Yeah.
It's not a huge amount of time they had turnover and like the way the windows lined up just were
Right.
not ideal,
Okay,
so. We still have to pay him.
I'm just
Like,
asking,
yeah,
yeah.
there's,
I'm just asking,
So I got a different, I'm not gonna question the need for, the software update. But where I have some concerns or issue with is, you're asking for us to pay an additional, what is it? $4,150, right? Add that to your budget. But I'm looking at your budget and you have a surplus of $15,950. So I'm not sure why the taxpayers should pay for a surplus, or some people call it profit, plus pay for something an addition for this software when it could easily fit into your budget?
Yep, so it definitely can. I am fine taking it out of that. We did get a bump from Dane County, but I still thought I had to submit a supplemental
No,
because it was
okay.
still
Well,
over the
I
0%.
Yeah, that's fine, that's why I wanted to
to.
to clarify, and I guess if we can, because I saw that and I'm already going around and around with EMS on doing this, I believe public sector should zero out. If you look at our general budget, it's over $3 million and it zeroes out, right? So here, even if you take the 41, you're still gonna have over $11,000 in surplus revenue, and we're in a tight budget. I'm just wondering the justification to hit the taxpayers for this extra money that's just going. Now, there is a reason if you need money in a fund balance, but I checked your fund balance with the audit, and at the end of 2024, you had 171,453, which is 34% of your operating budget. And if you stay on course with your budget for this year, you'll add another 47,750, which brings it up to 219,000, which is 44% of your operating budget. That seems extremely high for a fund balance. And again, I think this is coming from taxpayers' money, and is it wise to have such a large fund balance funded by, property tax?
Yeah.
So go ahead.
The assumption, I guess, when I submitted this is that it would not be coming out of additional tax funding, that it would
Yeah.
be coming out of like what we were getting from Dane County or whatever, but since we had to be at 0%, I
Yeah.
guess I just thought I had to submit this.
No, I'm
Yep.
fine with that part, but
So
I
yeah,
guess
it's
I'm
fine if
going,
It comes out of.
I'm going a little deeper.
Oh. yeah.
Because I'm looking, we gotta do some savings.
Mhm.
So, my thought right off the bat is, do we reduce by 10,000? And that would still leave you over 1,000 in surplus, which I'd rather have zero. And that would not hurt your fund balance, and I'm just trying to figure out what would it hurt if we remove the 10,000 that's a surplus right now?
Yeah, so like this year, we've used some of the surplus that we had, it hasn't hit yet because it's getting spent right now, but. To bump up some of our collections, so like, we have a Spanish collection that's going in. Adding additional funding for like our adult and juvenile collections, our EV materials. So we've been trying to use that fund balance, but we also are cognizant of the fact that we will eventually run out of space. In our current building, and so we also have talked as a board, some of that fund balance could be used for future building projects. So that's part of why it's so big. Is just with the eye towards.
If that is what the board is looking at, then they need to have a capital account, because this is in an operating account, and it's very, very different. And again, it's one thing to do that, but I guess from a board position, at least for me personally, I would like that to know that's the plan. Because we are, we're above the levy limit. We've got to make cuts somewhere. And to me, you're working on a budget with a profit when we're looking to cut other budgets. And I'm trying to balance the fairness, and while I know the board is separate, just like EMS, but it's still a lot of village residents, taxpayers going into it. So I think we need to look at that. So let me just ask you, what would be the effect if we remove 10,000 from the budget?
Well, certainly our collections and our programming would take a hit because we are able to use that surplus to do sort of bigger programs, bigger collections. And that means the community is also losing out on those services.
Well, that's not built into your expense
I mean,
side of the budget?
It is, but this gives us a little bit of extra wiggle room to provide more. we've really lucked out, so the last 2 years have been an anomaly. The way the library funding worked with Dane County, so it's an average of 3 years.
Yeah,
But they held it steady because of COVID and how hard that impacted libraries. So the last 2 years were the first years without like the COVID years included
Yeah.
in the average. So we had higher numbers the last 2 years that won't continue, because now we're sort of reaching that plateau, not plateau, because we've, increased our stuff, but we saw a huge jump once the COVID numbers were removed from that average, so it's not like a consistent. The jump that we saw heading into 2025 is not something we'll be seeing every year, so if you. cut
no, I
libraries- yeah,
understand that, yeah,
But
but-
so like, when we did the, compensation plan, the
yeah.
money for the library came out of the increases that we got from Dane County,
Sure.
not from the village.
Well, it should be, right? Cause that from the county is from the townships and stuff that use it.
I
So,
mean,
I
yes,
mean,
but
if-
also we're village employees.
yeah, well, yes, you
So,
are.
I'm just
You
saying,
are.
so like, we didn't get a cut that year from the village, but we also didn't get anything. for
And I
the
understand that, and
extra
I'm not looking to go back and drain or take any money from your fund balance. You're gonna have, almost $250,000 in there. What I'm looking at is for 2026. We haven't spent any of that yet. And I guess I'm a little concerned if you do a surplus, just so you can spend in areas that are not already. If you wanna spend this much on Spanish books, it should be part of your budget, right?
I guess, okay, so it's obviously too late for the 2026 budget, but if we have that situation for 2027, do you want me to submit supplementals for all of that extra?
Well-
Plan out how we're spending it?
No, what I want is to know what you wanna spend and to see what the revenue is and what the cost to us, cause right now. Your budget that you propose right now says, I'm gonna go tax. The residents, so you can have a profit or a surplus in your revenue. And that's generally not how public sector works. We try to get to zero, right? You tell us what service and what you wanna provide. We look at the revenues and we give you the taxes to cover that. Here is saying, well, we're gonna cover all that. And we're gonna give you another $15,000 in profit, just so you can put it in your fund balance or. I guess I'm having a little bit of a hard time with that. Cause we wouldn't allow that for any other, department. To have make a profit on the taxpayers.
And that's certainly not our intention, maybe I misunderstood for budgeting, but like, because the Dane County money is not steady and neither is our adjacent county
Yeah.
funding. Like, when we're told to do, a 0% increase or a 1 or 2% increase or whatever, sometimes those county numbers are higher than that.
Right.
So like, we have more, but I'm trying to keep it to whatever the budget memo percentage was, so then that leaves that chunk,
Right.
if that makes sense.
It does make sense, is what I guess how I would look at it is, you have your expenditures, whatever you wanna spend, right? Then you have your revenues that are coming in outside the village, so you have that dollar amount. You subtract that from your expenses and then the village kicks in to make you whole. That's how I think it should be done, so everybody's fair.
But the county numbers change year to year,
Yeah.
and I mean, it can be a $10, $15, $20,000 difference. So if I don't, like, if I have that $20,000 less next year, the village is not going to give me 20,000 more to make up for it.
Well,
Like,
we are
you know,
making up
that's
$25,000 from losing transportation aid. I don't see a difference.
Yes, I don't know, I just, because it is not a steady, reliable source of revenue, I mean, like, we know we're getting up, we have no idea how much it's going
But
to.
you know how much you have for 26.
Yes, I know how much I have for 26. But it was more than the 0% increase.
Yeah, I
But-
understand that.
that's- Maybe I was looking at the budget differently, like, or what I should be submitting supplementals for in that way.
All right, well, what are other people's, I mean, that's,
Well, my thought is, this 40, I guess my question is the 4,100 and the library maintenance already in your budget, what do you have? in these numbers.
This is not.
So if you put that in, then that difference turns to like $11,000.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you pay for it, like.
Yeah.
So we don't have to provide you more money. I am fine. I would like you to pay for the 41 out of this overage, but the rest stays there as like a contingency item for you. So it's like a 10,000. So you're paying for that, but the rest stays inside of your budget. Does that make sense?
No.
So what he's saying is what you said, that you will pay for the 4,100
You-
out of your budget. That's it.
Oh,
You
yes.
increase 4,100 in your
Okay, yes,
budget, and
sorry.
then your difference between revenues and expenditures drops from this 15.9 to
Okay.
like 11. That 11, then I just consider to be a contingency for the library
Yep.
with you paying for that.
Yes,
is what
that
I'm
makes
saying.
sense. That's fine.
That's what, I would like to see that. And, you know, if we need to circle back depending on what else we need to do, we can, but I'm fine with doing that. Rather than just take it all.
Well, we're not, I'm throwing ideas out. This is just a discussion.
That's my.
So,
like, I'd like to-
I just need to bring this up because like you say, we are gonna have to find some money somewhere.
So by doing this, we just knocked 4,100 off of the levy though.
No, because the levy did not include these supplements.
So it'd be a zero change for the levies.
Yeah, we didn't add to it.
Oh, I get you. Okay, well, still, that's what I want.
Yeah. it's- Bill, your thoughts?
I'm good with what Mike said.
Okay. All right, Judy's left. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, C, water, cross connection inspections, this would be the Hydro Corp, I believe, right?
Yep.
Matt? What's that? Well, just, you're the subject matter expert, just get it down, okay? Bobby can take this.
Again, this is the contract that we signed this year, for an ongoing cost. It'll come out of water revenues, not tax levy. So again, we signed a contract, we kind of have to do it, but this above and beyond the 0%. You know, base budget increase, so that's why there's something for it.
This is, we just did a 2-year contract, correct? So it's last year. Yeah.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Again, this is a contract, so there's not a whole lot we can do.
Are we then gonna get revenue from the businesses that we're doing this for? Cause this is part of the new cross connect, right?
The cross connection program, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll get revenue from the businesses that we're doing, or are we putting the whole bill?
We were flipping the whole bill because we don't have anything that states that
We can charge them.
we can charge. We can charge them, we just don't have anything that has come, that we've created that says this is how much you owe for the cross connection.
Already.
I think, that has been brought up a couple times. I don't know if you were on the board when we signed this, the biggest thing, you can have it, the responsibility of businesses and residents, but then you're gonna have to monitor it. You're gonna have to make sure they do what they're supposed to do and hire somebody to do what they do. So we would probably end up spending more money on staff or having to hire someone to do this. So we chose, I think there were 2 or 3 companies
Right.
that made bids on it. And this was the company we chose.
Okay.
But we did discuss, making people pay their own and then, you know, telling us that they did or filling out the certification.
So we have no way of charging the businesses from our for revenue for that, right?
Not the way we've done it. We can't go back and charge. We could have sent them and said, you're responsible for
Right.
notifying the village that a licensed plumber has checked on your cross connects.
Yeah.
And then send in the stuff, and then we would check their name
Yeah.
off the master list. You could have done that, but then it's all
Well,
that
that's
work.
not how I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking
Oh.
about it like we're doing the sidewalks.
Oh, yeah, no, we don't have, I don't know if we can do that. I mean, we'd have
We
to,
could look into it for
Yeah.
sure, but I think part of it too was that we've been putting this off for so long.
yeah,
And this was just kind of sprung on businesses, and so I think that, you know, us just kind of going in and just, doing it and not requiring them to pay a fee is probably in our best interest right now, but
okay,
we can definitely revisit it, absolutely.
all right, any other on this? All right, the meter replacement.
That one's Matt for sure.
Yeah, so the last time the village has had a big meter replacement was 94 to 96. So we are at least 10 years past when we should have been starting this replacement. And changing those out will likely help with our a water loss issue. It'll obviously monitor more water. Because meters only slow down as they get older.
I just, I am absolutely, my meter was swapped out and I didn't move into my house until 2000. So I wanna say that we must have done this, I wanna say around 2010, some of the houses were swapped out. Cause my neighborhood,
As houses have had issues, some of them have been swapped out. So we have roughly 1,700 accounts. There's 950 meters that are kind of from that 90s.
okay, so 800 have been swapped out already?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cause I was pretty sure they came around and did our neighbor.
I don't think ours was done, and ours was built 92, 91,
Ours
92.
was built in 89, I just moved in 2000.
Oh.
Only because it is such a tight year, do you think we could postpone it for one more year?
This doesn't go against.
This goes on the water.
Yeah, but
But I have concerns about the water utilities cash flow and then being able to support this much.
well, and that's what I was going to ask you on the budget, because I have, obviously, though, a couple things on here, we might as well hit it all at once. Can you tell me what the water financial administration is? That went up $72,000.
So 65,000 of that is depreciation, which is a non-cash.
Oh, okay,
I think the other 8 is like interest. Like loan interest.
oh, okay,
So yeah, the majority of that is just.
so there's no movement in.
Right.
All right, so then I'm looking at, the fund balances of that. And this seems, a little different than what I saw previously, but on the sheet from yours. You have an unrestricted cash balance of, $672,800, and then estimated change, we're spending $271,425. What is that for?
Because in 2024, we had a surplus of 276, so it was just the timing of when we borrowed money to when we spent money on capital projects and stuff.
Oh, okay,
So yes, it looks really bad that we're projected to lose so much in 2025, but it's just a timing thing.
okay, but that would still leave us, a 400,000 with an anticipation of 54,000. Additional in the cash balance, so that would be basically the investment part of our fees. We're thinking we're gonna make 54,000 more than we're gonna spend all fees, or is that coming from something else?
It'd be, yes, I don't think the water borrowed any money, so user fees would be our only.
All right, so just so if I'm seeing this right, then you have a cash flow of 54,000 about. And then if you go to the lower one on the sinking fund, and I'm not really sure what that is used for. But then you just have a change in balance of 8,000, so if you add to. At best, we're having a $62,000 cash flow.
So the 8,000 increase in the sinking fund is actually like an expense against the 54, yeah, so, yeah, you're right, so it'd be 62, but then we're taking 8 of that and putting in the sinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So I just wanna show why you're making the comment, 44,700. If you add that, and if we're planning to do it every year, you can see that we are really close to almost a zero balance. And changing water rates is not as easy as changing tax rates. So I'm kind of with Bobby that I'm, a little nervous with that. And I don't know if we should start draining down, the fund balance of that. Because of what may be coming with Marchstone and that whole water system. It'd be kind of nice to have something in the bank in case there's something that we didn't account for in that calculation that we did. That's just my feeling on it.
Cause I guess the other thing too is, you know, if Marchstone comes on, and we, you know, put in a bunch of new houses, we have to still pay for those meters. So we'll probably be over the 15,000 just putting meters in new homes, so we just need to account for that too.
We're paying for that?
Yeah, so I actually, as I'm sitting here, I emailed, City of Middleton, as an example, to see if they charge. Like the builder or the homeowner for a new meter. Would be what, would you think, like $400 or something?
A meter and reader, it says on the other sheet, I think it was $355.
Okay, yeah, that was. So, right, that's another thing, like, should we?
Yeah,
See if we should
$355
be
for a
charging
meter.
that back. Instead of us eating that. For no,
And what did Nixon say?
I got an out of office reply, and then I forgot to follow up. I was just thinking, as I was sitting here, I'm like, oh yeah, I never did hear back.
But again, I think that's a good idea to look into. I don't think it'll work for the short time with the budget, but it's always something we can do an amendment later in the year if we choose to do something like that. Michael, you had a question?
Yeah, when you were just talking, when you were looking at the expenditures for the water utility, is that where you were looking? The page? with-
I'm using what is called balance sheet and cash flow adjustments. That's,
Yeah.
it's on this thing. She sent out all the
Right, right, it's in the
documents.
budget.
It's in the expenditure, yeah.
So, okay, yeah.
That's the last.
So he was just saying because there's a drawdown of the $271,000 in the cash balance, is that what you were saying, Jim?
Well, I was asking about it, absolutely. Cause I didn't remember having that kind of an expenditure. So I was just asking where that was coming from. And then she explained it. It was,
Yeah, if you look in the 2024 actual column, you can see where it jumped really high last year.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Even though.
And again, this is not something we have to decide tonight.
Right,
It's coming back,
here, I wanna
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so like with what you're saying, I mean, the PSC requires a 20-year swap out, so it's kind of like this is a need to do thing, it's not.
Yeah, we haven't gotten in trouble for it.
Yeah,
It's
but-
something, and it's gonna be a 3 to 5 years process. as it
Right.
Sits.
Exactly.
So the more money you take away from that, the longer it's. I mean, you know, say even 200, I think I based it on 200.
Yeah.
Present meters being switched out, that's pretty ambitious. I
Right,
think, so, I mean,
that was,
but if we're able to do it, that would be great, cause that's just gonna help. You know, it generate more income, it's just gonna catch more water that people are using.
right, exactly. I mean, when I read this, I didn't really have any issues or qualms with not approving it, considering that it sounds like some of these meters have been out there for 25, 30 years, and PSC requires a 20-year replacement, and my other question was gonna be, do you have the manpower to do this, and, you know, or the time, or you think so, depending on what's happening.
Yeah, so the plan is to pretty much dedicate 2 days a week, 2 guys. Switching meters out till March or April.
Right. Yeah, I'm fine with pursuing this, I mean, I understand there might be other what have yous with Markstone, but this sounds like it's a PSC requirement that we are not meeting right now. And I don't know, placing a development above a requirement from our regulatory body is something we should be trying to do.
Well, Michael, I'm not looking at it just in that, if all of a sudden we need a major problem with piping or one of the wells, where are we gonna get the money? You can't just go out and borrow money. I guess we could and use it under the general fund.
I will say
but-
that the one thing we do is we kind of, they're something that they usually have on hand, so if something like that does come out, I think we could just like, hey, let's put a stop to this, maybe we need to adjust this money, move it somewhere else. But usually we keep 2 or 3 cases on hand and kind of order as needed. So if, then at the end of the year, whatever we have left, we kind of stock up for the next year. And we hold stock for all these new developments, so that's where that money's coming from also. And it's not like I'm gonna go out and buy $60,000 worth of meters January 1st, so. If that helps.
Well, like I say, I'm just looking at cash flow.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, you know, it's a business-like operation, so it's pretty much why we have to go to the PSC and everything, it's users have to pay for it.
Yep.
And that's how we should run it. And to get that close to where the cash flow is, makes me nervous because we don't have another cash flow. And to me, we are most likely gonna end up going to the PSC in the next year or so.
Yep.
For rate adjustments for the new reservoir. To me, that's the time to include all of this that we need that's tied to the water system. Because then we'll have the cash flow to pay for it, and we're not really using, we're trying to pay off a well right now. We just built that. That's where a lot of the flow, as we get more houses, cash flow will go up, obviously, because that we'll have more bodies using that well. So that's where I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm just thinking the timing might not be perfect. Judy?
Could we at all just do 100 meters and cut it down to 30? Meet in the middle.
That's the other thing was, we're supposed to be doing 160 resident cross connection inspections. So at the same time they were getting into the houses, they're gonna be able to do that. And that meets our DNR requirement of the 10% a year. So I think if you're gonna knock it down, I'd say probably knock it to the 160.
Could we do that and then also look into giving the fee to the builder buyer?
Within ones.
Yeah.
Because I think I asked too if that was like, if we need PSC approval
To charge for meters?
right?
Do we?
I don't know, that was a question I
I
had.
thought we kind of looked at, I think we can charge for the meter, but not necessarily the reader.
Cause I know some communities charge at least for the meter. Buildings have told me that.
Yeah,
So, go ahead.
So now with the new meters, is there any way that the resident can be connected to it? So like, my husband now has something set up so that we get alerted if we have high water usage. But he is doing it through a different thing. And but he was like, if we really.
Hack your system.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
That's funny. It's like, it's a product, cause it was like a Kickstarter and he has it, but it's great. And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, I just wish we didn't have to go through something else. We could just have that.
So
But
they,
I think people would be like, sure, I'll pay for this because now I get this service.
so, I mean, that's if you go down, to the memo. As we get bigger, if that's something we wanna look at to doing the tower reads, it will, part of that $18,000 a year is whoever's in charge of doing the meters, it'll throw a red flag that say, hey, this usage has gone up over the last couple hours. It allows us to be more proactive than reactive. Currently, we can go to a house and if they say, hey, my water bill is really high, well, we can go back and look at the previous 60 days. And
Yeah.
see, yep, what'd you do, January 3rd, all of a sudden it skyrocketed. Well, I had a plumber install a new toilet, well, they didn't do it right, so.
But it's great in the moment, like
Yeah.
every time my daughter takes a shower. So. I can't alert high water.
So, yeah, so this is like what Jay and I were sort of asking about the last time about, can you get alerts? And in order for that to happen with additional emails that I've had with Matt, you have to convert over to the new sensor, like on the outside, and then you can do the tower reads.
Yeah.
And they all have to be the same, essentially, we have to update the sensor, because right now there's two different sensors in the village, and some of the old ones and some of the new ones. So until we convert to all the new ones, going to a tower read system isn't gonna really get us anything.
But that'd be a good song.
Yeah. Well, I think it would definitely be a good idea for the
Cause then we
village.
could also like say, hey, if you want to get a new meter right now, you could have this, and then we could get people to pay for these too.
All right, Cody's got his hand up. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Say, so this just, when you brought up Marchstone, Jay, it made me think back to when I was reading some of their HOA laws and their lawn care stipulations. Has anyone mentioned anything to them about dual meters at those houses?
We have not, but that's a really good idea, and we certainly will do that.
I don't know if it was perfectly on topic, but I feel like some
No,
of
it
those
is.
people are gonna want dual meters.
Yeah, we will bring that up and give them all the data on that. Cause you're right, people who are moving in should know that's an option.
I think if we can head that off with a big development, it would be wise.
Yep, I agree with you 100%.
I have it noted.
Thank you.
Cody,
However,
go ahead.
I mean, I agree with Cody, 100% agree with Cody on that. But right now, our policy is to pretty much anyone who goes over their water because they're watering their lawn for 2 months, you know, or for a month, we just go ahead and approve that, right, without even looking at it. I mean, I'm sure Matt looks at it, but I mean, it doesn't.
It helps us a ton, cause that won't happen anymore. That's the
Exactly.
advantage.
Right,
Yes.
but what's the advantage to the homeowner?
They don't have to go through the process and pay $25 for it every time they water their lawn.
But they're gonna pay $25 once. Oh, no, I don't know how many times they're gonna pay $25, but it's gonna be.
Every time they file.
Every time they have a high bill.
Yeah, so they file once because we do our water monthly, right? And so they're gonna file once, they're gonna pay $25 versus paying.
No.
$75.
No, you're missing it. So what Cody is saying is, what you're talking about is generally when someone starts their lawn, they do a lot of watering.
Right,
They file in because that month or the 2 months, it's very high.
Yep.
But next year, if they water their lawn, because this has, rules that your lawn has to be something, they have to water. If it's high again, they gotta do another $25. You don't do it once for the rest of your residency in Cross Plains. Every time you wanna challenge a bill, you've gotta do the 25. So an extra meter, I think, is $12 a month. I think it was, it's 10.
It's the same as whatever your first. one.
Oh, okay, so it's 10 plus whatever
okay, so,
usage, so there's an advantage to both sides depending on how much you water.
well, that, and we give them one freebie, and after that, we're not gonna, I mean, someone came by and said, hey, we didn't know that we watered watering our lawn was gonna increase our sewer rate, right?
Right.
And so we give them a discount on sewer rate based on past history of what their water sewer is.
Yeah,
Well, we do that once, and we tell them, if you're gonna do this again, you need to get a dual meter, or we recommend getting a dual meter, don't we?
I have no idea what the letter says.
Jerry's letters always said that.
Jerry's did, right?
But I don't know if that's. policy.
But Bill, it is far more costly for them to put in
Second.
a second meter once the house is built versus,
I totally agree with that.
yeah,
They're doing it well.
so I think
Yeah.
by letting them know about this situation, I think is what Cody's talking about, is just educating them as, hey, you may wanna think about this, our sewer rates are very high. You can reduce them if you do planning to do a lot of watering or a hockey rink or a swimming pool. You may wanna choose to, rough in a second meter.
Again, 100% agree with that. What I'm saying is
Okay.
I wanna make sure that we are protecting ourselves. For people just saying, hey, I'll pay $25 once a year, instead of paying $10 a month for another meter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but we don't
We
do
should look
that.
at Do you think we should look at that policy again and then not do that anymore?
We don't do that. That's what I'm saying. We don't do that. Every time you file a complaint, you pay
Yeah.
25 bucks.
Yeah.
So it'd be once a month at best. Right? So we would get $25 if they did it every month for a year. That would be 300 bucks.
That's
Versus,
what I'm saying.
I know what, yes, you are. You're saying that if they they use all this water and they do it once a year for 25 bucks, they're gonna choose to do that method instead of paying the monthly fee. I am telling you, you can't do it that way.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is that we protect
Yeah.
ourselves, so we don't give that loophole to be able for residents to be able to do it that way. Once a year, for example, every May, someone has a $100,000 gallon pool.
Yeah,
They're gonna fill up their pool once a year. They're only gonna do it once a year. They're not gonna fill up their pool 3 times a year.
no, you pools evaporate a ton of, talk to
Well,
Mike
I
about
know.
how much water we had.
Right.
And this, splashing and
Okay.
all.
But
But anyways, go on, I hear your
I'm
point.
just trying to make sure that we cover ourselves. So we don't have a liability of someone trying to take advantage of,
We can certainly check to see what that is, but I'm pretty sure it says per bill.
well, and that's fine, but if
You
it's
can
once a year,
challenge a
it's only
bill, you
25
can't
bucks.
challenge a year's worth of bill.
I'm on your side though. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I know what he's saying too, it just doesn't happen though.
It doesn't happen today.
Okay, look, how about, we'll check into see what the
Then,
wording
in
is.
fact, I would also say then we're also under another $175 per unit that puts in current.
Say it again.
What it is.
And currently, we're also out another $175 per unit that puts that in, because they'll need another meter, and our cost is $175 that we currently do not project onto the home.
We don't charge for the second meter?
We charge monthly, but not
Not
upfront.
for install. It's just,
Oh, we should be doing that, I don't have a problem with us paying for the first meter, but I don't think we should pay for two.
well, that's what the $10 monthly charge is for, isn't it? To pay for the meter and its use and its depreciation, you're
Right,
charging
that's what they-
$10 a month.
That's what.
That's what
Well,
you're paying for,
If you ever buy something, like lease a car, there's a big down payment, and then you pay monthly fees for that car. So a down payment, so paying for it and then renting it is not.
This meter's gonna last 20 years, you do $120 times 20 years, you're making $2,400 or $3,000 on a $175 meter, I think that the cost is baked into the meter cost. The $10 a month fee is what I'm thinking.
But if we, over the next, I don't know how many years, every household out there has an extra $175 tag to it, I mean, that's on us for the first couple of years. Until we eventually, over 20 years, get it back. So who in that 3 years, I mean, we're already talking about cutting budget back a lot, so.
This might be good to look into in 2026.
Well, I think we have to really think this out, yeah.
Right.
I certainly agree, and it goes along with,
Thanks, Cody.
It looks like he's got something else to contribute. Go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, like, I guess, do we track the people that have filed a claim or a grievance? So it's like, hey, once you know about it, you shouldn't be able to do it annually or every May, every June, what have you. Is that something we could put in an ordinance? Like,
Well, first of all, I don't think, we're talking about something that I don't think has ever happened, and I don't think it can happen. I think you can appeal a single bill. I don't think you can do a year's worth of bills.
When people come in.
right, no, I'm just saying, like, if it's a habitual person, like, is there a way
Yeah, I
to
hear what you're saying.
track who's done it?
You would know better than I, but when I see it there isn't that many people making requests for.
No.
I think we've had a couple
Right.
of look at ones, but for the majority, it's just, they do it once and then they don't.
I feel like once people learn about it, they stop, but I do agree there could potentially be a way to abuse the system on like an annual, once a year basis. But I mean, I think it would be worth looking into.
Yes, we'll reread what our policy is and shore that up that someone can't do multiple bills at the same time.
Well, but that's
But they
what
do, though. They're
happens.
watering over a period of 3 months.
Yeah, they just come in once at the end of the 3
Yeah.
months and
We
say,
tell them to wait till they're done watering.
yeah.
Oh, is that what you-
Then they come in.
Like in irrigation, that's what I was gonna
They should,
say.
it should be monthly, then.
Yeah, I agree.
At 120.
Yeah, I'm agreeing.
Well, let's look at it.
Yeah, we have to look at that. That's news to me if we.
Look at it, but make sure the Marchstone development knows.
Look at it after the 3 months, so they're not devoting any more time, like the whole point of this was to account for the time that they're spending on it. It's not,
We'd rather just do it once at the end.
right, so I don't think we need to charge them $25 for every month, I mean, it's not taking them any more time.
Well, I would disagree with you. They have to analyze 3 months worth of bills versus 1 month.
Well, but.
How is that not more work?
Do you feel that it takes that much more time?
Well, now you're saying how much. I'm just saying it takes more time.
Well, no, I mean, I'm just asking her, like, is it really that much different to look
I don't
at
know.
3 versus 1?
A couple of minutes.
We are off topic.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we are.
So I'm,
Okay,
I'm just trying to help.
all right, yeah, okay, buddy.
You're welcome.
Yeah. All right, so let's just think about, we'll vote on it. I think, I agree, we've gone way off topic on this.
Because Bobby, earlier you had said you were concerned about the cash balance for the water utility.
Whoa.
So
Just
for the cash
because
balance.
the PSC requires a certain rate of return, and I know I did get an email from one of the state, I don't know, the DOA or someone asking why we didn't meet that last year.
So,
So I did
It was
like a-
4% when we did the well.
They were like, hey, you like did bad last year, and so then I had to say, well, it's because our rate increase didn't go in effect as early as we really thought it would, and so it was just kind of. So yeah, we do get in trouble if we don't meet that certain rate of return.
we don't.
By the PSC. Or who do we get in trouble
I
with?
don't, it's what notice was from the PSC, I can. it was-
I'm just-
I would think the PSC sets the rate, but it's probably DOA that
Oh,
administers it.
okay.
So that's my only concern, is if we. Use up the entire amount that we're,
Flow.
right, we're not gonna meet our ratios at.
Do you want me to take that number down to whatever 100?
This is what I'm hoping is gonna happen. You've heard the discussion, so I'm hoping Carly, Bobby, and the people who have stuff here. Can work things out and then bring it back in 2 weeks, and then we'll have the discussion. So I'm not saying one way or the other. I think you guys need to have a discussion. You know, she's got concerns with the rate of return cash flow. You have concerns with the date of it. You've heard from us on other aspects of it, so. I think it just needs to be washed out a little bit more. Otherwise, we're gonna have the same discussion on, in 2 weeks, and I'd really like in 2 weeks for it to go a little smooth. So that would be my advice. All right, let's move to operating budget. I just threw on, since we have to make some cuts. I just showed you, these are, you can eliminate the water financial admin, that's been cleared up. So that's off the table. So the police contract costs, and it added 13,325. The COLA for wage increase, which was the 2%, was 23,128. The longevity wage increases equaled 25,990. So those are what we kind of have semi-agreed to at the last meeting. So came up with a couple of possible savings to get us under. I'm gonna take the second one because that's the easiest one. So right now, if you look, we have a line item, contingency fund line item of 20,000. And that goes way back prior to us having a healthy fund balance. I think once we started to have a policy of 20% for the fund balance, that has really, we've been able to maintain that and more. So the big question is, do we still need the contingency money? Because technically your fund balance is your contingency money. And since we have been pretty responsible in maintaining that, the question, and I've discussed this with Bobby and she's okay with it. Do we eliminate, that would be 20,000 that we would save right there from the budget.
Which was then?
Contingency fund.
Okay.
And that's down below, the second, if you look down, that's in the general fund, I have it somewhere. I forgot what page it's on, but anyways, thoughts?
Good idea.
I think we should.
Michael?
I don't know, are there other ways? I mean, there's the police insurance, right, and other.
Well, yeah,
I think we should.
I'm trying to come up with 50 grand. That's what I'm trying to come up with 50 grand to get us to a 3% tax increase. That's what my goal is. All right, I'm trying to reach the goal that, we decided on May, so I'm just telling you that would be what we would have to, hit. So we'll talk about that, but that's on the table. It's a fairly harmless one in the sense that it's not taken away from anybody. We have an alternative to it. And again, we're I think it's really not responsible to have it since we have a fund balance. Why are we taxing people for more when we have a 20% fund balance for that reason?
And I will say, when I started, the line item was 50,000, and I think we've just kind of steadily.
Yeah, go
increased it.
on down 100.
It could have
It could have
been,
been before, yeah.
because we didn't keep a fund balance, if you remember. My first time, we didn't really even have a fund balance. Well, that's some food to think about. We'll put it back on, but we can go through the others. All right, so let's talk about reducing the amount budgeted for health insurance. You want to take us through that, Bobby?
Sure, so we currently budget not based on who actually takes what plans. So we assume, we'll use the police department, that's what I have here, that we have, 6 officers and 2 or 3 of them are on a family plan, we'll say 3 are on a family plan, 3 on a single plan. But in reality, we're using much less than that, so we're, again, kind of like over budgeting. Obviously, I don't think we need to slim it down to the, minimum, but I'd be comfortable taking 5 or 10,000 off.
So and here's why you need to keep something in there. Because if we hire a new employee who's replacing an employee who didn't use health insurance, now wants health insurance, you're talking, if it's family, up around 20 grand, singles around 13, 14. Now we're short. So it's kind of a health insurance contingency.
Yeah.
Amount.
Yeah.
It is.
We can either go exact on that and keep the contingency, or get rid of the contingency and keep that
So,
higher.
but now I can tell you that not everybody does that. We could budget to what we have, and then if that situation happens, you take it out of contingency until the next budget year. That's what some places do. You do actual budgeting of what you need, and then if there's that coverage, you use contingency to cover it until, and again, I don't have a problem with that either necessarily. It's not like we're gonna lose 20 people and gain 20 people, it's 1, 2, 3 at most. So it's doable for what we keep in our emergency fund, and that would fall under.
So I got a question on that.
Go ahead.
So, when is the end of sign up for 2026 insurance? When they?
It was October 30th.
So that's done.
Yeah,
Okay, so we know what 2026 is gonna look like unless,
unless there's turnover.
or
Qualified
if
life
someone
event.
has a change in their status.
Like if you're married or.
Or adopt a child, yeah.
Exactly right, right.
Yeah, correct.
So, I think we need to have a contingency, so I like the idea of using what we know it's gonna be in 2026. However, keeping some sort of contingency for just that case, in case that happens, otherwise we end up doing a supplement in the middle of the year if we have to do that, right?
No, well, no, we would take she'd do a budget amendment. Like we see
Right,
tons
right,
of,
right.
we, every year, every quarter, she probably has 8 or 9 on there.
Right.
And it would just be moving from the fund balance to the health insurance line item.
Okay,
So I think isn't the idea that we don't need to have additional contingency, because right now our fund balance is healthy enough.
Right,
This would be
so,
okay.
so why don't we just use what we know it's gonna be for beginning of 2026 and just use that for the year?
that is an option
How much would that save us?
Just.
for everybody. For not just police, for everybody.
Do you build a health insurance contingency even for admin like you and Carly?
So admin's actually currently as is. The library, I think we're currently budgeting for all 3 full-time people to take insurance and only 2 do. Parks and Rec. 2 of the 4 don't take our health insurance, so I think we have them budgeted as single plans if they don't take it, so there is a
There is
lot of
some
kind of
reason.
snap. There's a lot you can,
There's a little bit built in.
yes.
I guess.
Well, I think, if you're not comfortable with all of it, but let's just take Parks and Rec. I don't think we need to have, out of 4 people, if 2 are taking insurance and 2 are not, I don't think we need 2 single. I would just keep enough in for 1 single.
Except we do know that we are going to have change in Parks and Rec, and so that could change, like we could hire someone,
Well,
That'll take family.
yeah, but
yeah,
I understand that, but I'm guessing, I'm guessing some of them already take it. It's a 50-50 chance, right? 2 out of the 4 take it. And where
Right.
1 will be leaving, a new one will be coming in.
right, but the new one coming in could have.
Right, but what I'm saying is to still keep 1, but do you need, cause
So
2,
budget for 3 people. take it.
yeah, 3 versus 4.
For sure.
And there's 13, close to 13 grand.
So for the police, instead of 6 to 5.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
yeah, cause then we're getting up into probably 20-some grand, 20-some thousand. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
We're getting close.
we're getting, yeah,
So I have a different question then. Have you ever done a budget amendment where you moved unused health insurance over to a different line item? Instead of general fund, you make up for a deficiency? I mean, has it ever been used is what I'm saying, that
I think we did last year or the year before.
some of that money was reallocated?
Yeah, just within the department.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just I think because it was an easy place to see.
yeah.
So maybe if it's kind of balanced, but it's not.
But it's
like all.
I'll have let department heads know that if they have turnover in savings and salary, that doesn't mean that they can take that money and spend it on operating. Like,
Okay.
if there's savings and salary budget, you can't.
Right,
Right.
yeah, I agree, unless they come to the board.
Right, correct.
I agree, and you can see that in the budget amendment. All right, well, those 2 potentially were pretty successful. If they go through, that gets us to 46 grand potentially, maybe a little bit more.
Can I ask a question, cause I don't understand what this line item means, the increased interest income 2025 is budgeted for 45 grand. And the actual estimate is 275,000. What do we talk, I don't know. what we're
So-
talking about there.
So right now for income, we had $245,000, right? But in our budget, because I'll talk about later, in our budget, we only use 45,000 of it for the budget.
Okay,
And here's the reason why I would not be in favor of increasing it. 1, it changes, and right now, we're making a lot of money because, and we will continue, because just for example, we're gonna borrow $3 million. It's gonna earn interest for us, but in a year and a half, we're gonna, that that money's gonna be gone, right? We're not gonna have 1.8 million in the fund balance anymore. That's going, you know, some of that's going in there. So the amount of money that's making interest is gonna go down. And if you look, interest rates are probably gonna come down.
Right.
So-
And the money that we're borrowing, we're paying interest. on.
Absolutely, exactly, right, so. We used to not, when did we go up to 45,000? That was, what, 2 years ago? We went from what,
What's like 5,000 and then 10,000?
Yeah,
Like,
we've slowly, but I think we gotta be careful. Right, I think we gotta be careful because when that's gone, now we have to make it up somewhere else.
So this is estimated interest income for the
Yeah.
2026.
Should I talk about what we-
That's, I just need one clarification.
Yes, that's what it is.
Okay,
But the key is, right now, we're using 45,000 to pay operating costs.
okay.
And I think it's,
Is that a realistic number?
oh, it's realistic, but I wouldn't wanna go higher than that because. Like I said, with interest rates going down and we're gonna be spending down a lot of this cash that's making money for us. So we won't be making 240,000
No, but
in
it's just.
2027.
Right, but it's 45,000.
Yes,
Is that a good number? Do you
Yeah,
feel That's a good number.
yeah, I feel that's a
Okay,
solid number.
that's,
I was gonna say, I put it on here just in case we needed to find 5 or 10,000. I
Okay.
would feel comfortable increasing the 45 by a little. Obviously, I'm not gonna say, yeah, we need a budget 200.
no,
That's not,
yeah, I was just, I didn't really know what you were talking
Yeah.
about when you were looking at that, so.
it was just another revenue source.
That's great.
Should I talk about what we were emailing?
Sure.
Alright, so I've been emailing Bobby a little bit about these numbers, cause I saw that $275,000 interest amount being earned, and I was trying to figure out how that was being generated, and through emailing with Bobby, that is the collection of most of all of our fund balances, even library fund, parks and recs, some water, some sewer, not all. All of that money though, but those funds are generating this interest, but all that interest is flowing to the general fund. They aren't flowing back into the library fund, they aren't flowing back into the parks fees. And we were discussing, shouldn't the interest that these individual funds be going back into those funds? Cause right now it just goes all down to the general fund. That's why that's $275,000 on $1.8 million in our general fund at 4%. That's only gonna be generating $75,000 a year if it's back into that fund. And we were talking about possibly do we need a policy on this so that the interest in the library fund goes back into the library fund. The interest in the parks fees go back into the parks fees. Because right now all that money just goes in and we're like, oh, all this interest is this, and we just throw it in the general fund. And that's what's going on right now inside of how our interest is being.
Okay,
But
Judy?
didn't we get rid of, didn't we at one point in time, like, combined all our accounts, 'cause we used to have a ton.
Right, so we have pooled cash, so all
Right,
the
we have
funds
pooled
essentially
cash.
are in one checking account. And so we earn, say, $20,000 on that account, it was all just getting given to the general fund, rather than saying, okay. The library fund should get, 3,000 of that, and the TID should get some, and the water, so. Today I sent out another blast to people saying, hey, what do you do? Anyone who uses pooled cash? And I've gotten 2 replies so far, and they both replied and said, yep, we allocate the interest out. Rather than it all just going to the general.
I think we did that 4 or 5 years ago.
Where we combined, we
Yeah.
used to have all separate.
we used to have separate
Yeah,
accounts,
yeah,
correct.
to make it
I think
easier.
with
for the-
Matt.
Yeah, we had separate
It's all
accounts and then
combined.
they would get the interest, obviously, it's their account. It's just a lot lower than when we combined them all.
Right.
But that's certainly something we could look at is getting it out.
But we could definitely still pool the money, it's just that you just have.
Right.
Spreadsheet and say, if this interest went here, here, and break it all out, but it's kind of like. The interest that like some of the money in the water utility has, that interest isn't going back into the water utility, it's coming to the general fund in the village. It's like we're taking from that utility, we're taking from the interest the sewer utility and the water utility should be making, it's actually coming over into the general fund.
So, and when Michael pointed out, I was like, oh my god, why did I never think that?
It was like, we're taking from all these different funds and just slapping it all the general, and I'm like, and can we even do that? I mean, we might not be able to just take from the sewer utility, because I mean, it's. Cause they're enterprise funds and they aren't, so basically next year, if we do implement the allocated interest, the general fund next year is probably gonna only earn. $75,000, not $275,000.
Agreed. But, okay, help me then what, I guess I just assumed other financing sources was investment for water, utility, and there's the same thing for sewer, what is that for?
Well, the water, that sinking fund account, that I'm
Yeah,
talking about, that is in its own separate checking account. So the interest earned on that checking account
okay.
goes to
So
water.
it's not all of it, but.
Yeah,
Okay, well, I'm
But
just,
but it's some of it, because it's like a
Yeah.
7 million.
in the
or six
sewer,
or 7 million.
similarly has, is their own CD and their own.
Yeah.
Money market account that's earning interest.
so
Right,
let's
there-
just, the clarification is, right now, not all of it's going back, but some of it is, because it at least is showing up on the revenue side.
So we probably shouldn't adjust this. as part.
No, I
I
think,
think if we're saying that, like, we don't, like, if we implement this, then I'm just letting you know that the general fund is not going to be making $275,000. It's gonna be making
Right,
75,
whatever.
or whatever, it is like 1.8
Less.
times 4, yeah, it's gonna be.
all right,
So, yeah.
anything else does anybody else have? to Bring up. So you have all the facts. And. Again, I would ask that Carly and Bobby talk with staff and see. What they feel and come back in 2 weeks when we have a board meeting and we have to make final decisions on this budget, but you have. All the important numbers on this sheet with you, so you know what we're working on. And if you look at this, you can see. What we have to get to bring the rate down to whatever level you feel. And originally we set at 3%, 50,000 gets you to 3.08%.
Can I just make a suggestion for next year or future
Yeah.
budget memos? I was confused because the language in the memo said operating expense 3%. And you're looking at tax rate 3%, so they're two different.
Yeah,
So-
that, you're right, you're right.
different language.
Yeah, the language, that came, it was Judy who wanted tax, the rate at 3%. Yeah, I will,
Yeah, they're very different.
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're correct. Just like, there's the levy, our levy change is almost 77%, which is huge. If you get down to the 50,000, it's still 5.62, but the taxpayers really just care what it says on their bill, which is the mill rate, increase in mill rate. So that's kind of what I've been focusing on hers. I didn't take it as strict as just operating, but
Yeah.
I guess that's what.
We run the 3% for operating, like. the rate-
Yeah.
rate is 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will make sure I don't make that error in the future. All right, anybody else have suggestions on saving? I've done a lot of the talking tonight, so did anybody else come up with anything? And are we going to, and this has nothing to do with the rate, but just with the limit, are we looking to move EMS off the limit, levy limit this year?
I was gonna say, in order to take that exception, you have to be at the levy limit. So if we cut off
Oh.
this, we don't get to keep that.
Oh,
If
okay.
you're
Right.
under it, then you don't.
You're not
Then you're-
All
eligible.
right, well then, I'm not in favor of keeping.
Yeah,
I wanna be under.
yeah, I do not wanna be at our levy limit or above that to have to take it. But
Okay,
it's
thank
just-
you
But
for
it's
that
just,
clarification.
it's just there. If you hit your levy limit, you're like, oh, you need to go $4,000 above, we're like, okay, we got 9,500 of the EMS we can use, and then does that reduce or ups it or whatever? So it basically gives you that
Yeah.
allowance
And and I don't want people
to you.
right, to lose focus on that. We really need to start building a gap. It will look really, really bad if we get a brand new building and we can't open because we don't have the operating money to do it. So, and if you remember, I think it was finance came up year and a half, 2 years ago, that it's gonna run 50 to 60,000 more for operating the new building. And we were pretty, we had 35 last year. I was hoping to get 15,000 this year to hit the 50,000. We're not there, but we're getting back to if we do this, we'll get pretty close to the 35,000 again. But I just want everybody to keep that in mind. We have that increase in operating coming up.
When do we expect that to start kicking in?
I would imagine we should probably start planning for that maybe as early as 27. Because the
What's
bill,
our,
huh?
like, increase construction,
no, it'll be like cleaning.
no,
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
increase the construction of homes. Well, that will.
Well, that helps with the
Right.
new construction, but as you saw, we had 62,000 that we should have been able to play with, but if you look at the expenses and then the loss of transportation aid, we went way over that.
Right.
Yes, we have to start looking at that a lot closer, 48. Yes, we almost spent all of that on increase in salaries and benefits.
But I was not like increased revenue from new residents.
That is the new, oh,
That's your 62.
it's 62, yeah, it's on your sheet, 62,275.
Well, I mean, like with more, as we have more homes coming in and more people paying taxes.
Yeah,
Won't that help us?
but it only helps, it only helps if you're under the levy limit.
Right,
So if we spend, yeah, so you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It would help, yes, but you have to be below the levy limit for that to
Yeah.
be effective.
I was gonna say, to be honest, if we're anticipating a move-in date of November next year, we could have a month and a half of operating expenses on the new building.
Well, with that, I didn't look at it closely. Generally, once they're done with construction, you gotta let it sit for 2 weeks. And then they come in and do something, and then another 2 weeks. It takes almost a month to,
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I-
But maybe a month,
worst case scenario.
yeah.
yeah.
You
And I don't
would
know-
have some operating
Right.
expenses next year.
Yeah, and I don't know, we could, we'll have to just see, are we gonna
Yeah.
really wanna move in over the holiday season?
Who knows?
So, yeah, well, when are they gonna hook up the electric meter and the gas meter?
Well,
these are things we
they'll
don't
do
know.
that really early before they do,
But we don't pay for it until construction stuff, like,
We don't,
we don't.
No.
okay, well,
yeah, no, once we get
We
the,
pay for it, we just don't.
yeah, we've already, yeah. Once we get to occupy it, that's when I think everything switches over. And they won't give you that, it's gotta sit for 2 weeks and then everybody's got, fire's gotta sign off on it. To make sure, and there's some other agencies that have to sign off on it.
Building inspector.
And then sometimes what you'll do is MG&E, Focus on Energy will come in. And they'll do some, and they need the building to be empty, they'll look to help you make sure that. The construction company did the insulation and you don't have leaks and stuff. And
Right,
that has to be done when there's nobody in the building. So like I say, I was that way, but I would have swore it took 6 weeks before we could move in.
Yeah.
Anything else on this? Think about it for the November meeting. And you guys will talk with staff before then,
Absolutely.
see what you guys can come up with.
So for the budget that's presented in 2 weeks, do you want me to put some of these changes in there, or just? That way we know the impact.
Well, we haven't just, okay, here's how this is gonna work, since we
Okay.
can't make decisions today. For example, Elizabeth says she's willing to take that out of her budget, so certainly, we're not gonna argue with her on that, so that can be adjusted, I think.
and I would put the recycling in.
Yeah, the recycling
Right, yeah.
can be
What about
in.
Insurance stuff, I
Contingency
think
and the
you
health
should-
insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a show in there.
Yes.
Stuff like it.
Mhm.
Yes, I think you're safe to put in the two that we talked about.
Or the recycling library insurance. Just if you're gonna make up a note, just a note on where these have been included in this budget, like.
Yep.
Cause you'll update the budget if you're on the website, though, with all those pages or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, anything that staff pretty much agrees with cutting, I don't think the board is going to argue with that. So to update the numbers and everything would be helpful, yes. The things that are still iffy, leave out, but put them in the right category. So like the water meter, that should be under the water utility budget, not. Don't have them like we had tonight.
Okay.
They should fall under, because you're gonna still have capital, debt service, all the different ones, right? So whatever one that has to be voted on yet should fall under that particular category.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
So, mhm,
You can always touch base.
right.
All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Now we just missed the first 5 minutes of the pack.